Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Now let's move on to the beef you wanted to move on to, which is the battle between the fancy Ivy League kids and the Bill Simmons podcast populace, or however I want to frame this strange friction between one Pablo Torre and Bill Simmons. I'm not sure if we did the exposition on it, but it's Pablo has done on his successful podcast, Pablo Finds Out, this deep dive on Jordan Hudson, the 24-year-old girlfriend of Bill Belichick, who seems quite power hungry and is creating issues over there.
Deep dive, plural. Deep dives.
Yeah, deep dives. Like he's gone heavy on it. And Simmons, as you've referenced, is basically saying, what is this gutter journalism? What is this? What is he doing? I think I would come down more on the Pablo side here, just in that if something's interesting, it's interesting. And I don't think this thing would be as much of a thing if Jordan Hudson didn't interrupt the 60 Minutes. Was it 60 Minutes Morning?
CBS, whatever the CBS Sunday Morning.
Yeah, CBS Sunday Morning, the whole, he's not answering that with Tony Dokafil. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with the way that Pablo wants to go about this. It's an interesting story. We can say it's maybe trashy, but it's not like Bill Belichick has handled it in a way that completely guards his privacy. And when he's going on network TV to hawk his book and his girlfriend is interrupting the interview, it just seems like fair game for everybody. At least that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, you have to there's context behind Simmons's reaction, that it's not just looking at it in a vacuum. If this was, I don't know, let's say this was Mike McCarthy and not Bill Belichick, who Pablo was doing this with, I don't know that Bill Simmons has the same reaction. But Simmons is a diehard Boston sports fan. Belichick won 6 Super Bowls, got to several more during a period of Simmons's sports fan life that he cherishes. And if you've listened to his commentary on the Belichick-Kraft breakup, it's clear that he has a very strong fondness for Belichick. He blames Kraft for how that breakup happened, and if he'll take shots at Kraft and say the way that he handled this was terrible. So this is the subject of Pablo's very serious, silly reporting is somebody that Simmons happens to be very fond of. That's one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing. Sorry to interject, but just what's fun fodder for us when it's happening to you or somebody you like. It's the Aaron Sorkin quote about how bad publicity is like being seasick. You think you're going to die and everybody else thinks it's kind of funny. And so we're consuming it like consumers.
I see it. And I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I see it in a little bit of the way with Brett Favre. So Front Office Sports, where I work, led a lot of the reporting on Brett Favre and has made a very successful Netflix documentary about it. But I'm a big Packers fan. I was a fan of Favre as a kid, and I feel it's not like I absolve what he did, but I can put myself in Simmons's shoes, seeing this person that he has sports reverence for getting trampled and how he feels about it. Does that make sense?
It does, and people have talked about the Mike Lombardi connection. Mike Lombardi, who's gone over to UNC.
I don't think Lombardi would be a factor in this. It's that Belichick won 6 rings. I don't know if Simmons and Belichick talk or not. And I don't even know that it's necessarily relevant. I know that it's just him seeing somebody who brought him a lot of happiness just getting made fun of and just feeling a little bit personally slighted by it.
Simmons is right about the Patriots documentary, by the way. I mean, the way that Kraft handled that was disgusting. I sound like a Boston sports fan where it almost seems like they were trying to portray Belichick as the reason for the Aaron Hernandez tragedies. It was pretty terrible. And even if Belichick did some things wrong or made some poor decisions, There was something quite unbecoming about how that documentary was almost a vehicle for propaganda against the coach who had won them these Super Bowls. Even if I feel as though that Bill Belichick might not be the nicest guy in the world and perhaps undervalued what Tom Brady brought to him, I felt that he was done wrong in that documentary. I don't necessarily feel like he's been done wrong in the Pablo Finds Out, but I haven't consumed all the podcast content about everything Jordan Hudson may or may not be doing.
Well, and then there's also the Meadowlark versus Simmons element. We've talked before about how Dan Le Batard has rubbed some of his professional counterparts the wrong way over the years. And so I think that's like another portion of this. So I do agree with you, though, that I think that Pablo's reporting on Belichick and attention seeking, for lack of a better word, it's a legitimate story, and he's done a better job reporting on it than anybody else. And it's not even just going back to like the last 2 weeks. Pablo was the first person to report way before that CBS story that Jordan Hudson was effectively acting as Belichick's like all-purpose manager. And that was news. That wasn't something that the public had known. And so, here's the thing. We're in this world where Pablo needs to get his, this is where he's getting this engagement from. It's a story that, yes, is silly, but there's enormous public interest in it. And so he's really hammered it.
You sold my joke about Pablo finding out, and that's just
I'm sorry.
How dare you? How dare you do that? No, it wasn't a very good joke. I want to give
can I say one other thing?
Sure.
And I hope he doesn't get mad at me for saying this. So,
now I'm intrigued.
I reported that DraftKings and Meadowlark reached a renewal for the core daily shows at Meadowlark, which is basically the Dan Le Batard show with Stugatz and Nothing Personal with David Sampson. And then a couple other shows are thrown in: South Beach Sessions, which is Le Batard's interview show, and Mystery Crate. Pablo Torre Finds Out is not part of the new DraftKings deal. So they are seeking a new distribution partner for that program. It's going to stay at Meadowlark, but he is in a position now where he wants to, and everyone wants to get all the attention they can get all the time, but he is in some ways a free agent right now. And so this is, it's good timing that this massive story has come his way right now.
My candid take on Pablo and Pablo Finds Out is I'm very impressed by it. I think it's difficult to rebuild your media career when you're a TV guy and you're on one of these legacy brands and suddenly you're out in the semi-wilderness. You've got to chart a course, and he's built a vehicle tailored to his interests and his perspective. And not many people could have done that. The amount of production that goes into that, the amount of research, the amount of planning, very impressive. I disagree sometimes with what's on there. In truth, I don't even feel like I disagree. Sometimes I just think that they're wrong, especially on the trans sports issue. I think that they were playing crazy language games with reality. But overall, I think that's an excellent podcast. And maybe that colors how I rule in this, as though we're judges and we're giving a ruling on all of this. Should we move on to
here's what it is. Pablo is very successful and he's going to continue to make a lot of money. Bill is very successful. He is going to continue to make a lot of money. Ryan is very successful. He's going to continue to make a lot of money. And Mina is very successful. She's going to continue to make a lot of money. And the fact that we've just spent a half hour talking about them is a sign of their power.
Yes, as scavengers we are. But there's a market for this. People want this kind of dispassionate conversation about the leading lights of sports media. But I don't know. I'm in a weird place with the Meadowlark Empire. I feel like I've pissed off Dan by writing about him. I thought I was being respectful, but I don't know if it was taken respectfully. And I'm not necessarily going to mend fences, but there is this feeling that I have when talking about these things of, I mean, I don't know what they think about me over there. Jesus Christ. Next beef.
Okay.
Brian Win